Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the WineDown. Today we're going to talk about the costs in IT and what we can do to improve or change on those. So do enjoy.
Welcome to the WineDown, an afternoon podcast where two techie blokes sit down over a bowl of wine and chat about what's happening in the world of tech. Enjoy while Scott and Nick open up about their week in technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the WineDown. My name's Nick and this is
Scott.
Hello Scott, how are you?
Good, Nick. Glad to be back wine downing.
Yeah, we are finally, yes, after COVID and sickness and all sorts of things.
Yes, we had a quick break.
We did. But more importantly, where are we? What are we drinking?
Well, we're down in Milson's Point, just down Blues Point Road. Lovely little places we can see in the background. Delicado. And it's a wine bar.
It is.
Of all the things to have near our office.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful?
This is a terrible place to be.
Now, we're drinking something special, aren't we?
Well, we thought we'd try something different today. So we started with this lovely bottle of, it's a Tempranillo. It's a Ramon Bilbao Reserve 2015. Mm-hmm. So it's from the Rioja area.
Yep.
And tell you what, you can do a lot worse than this.
It's very nice.
It's very, very easy to drink, and it's a lovely drop.
But since then, we've stepped it up, haven't we?
Well, we actually just finished that bottle. But yes. Anyway,
but we don't have to talk about that.
Story. Yes.
Let's talk about it. So,
and by the way,
yep,
they do tapas here.
They do, and their tapas is awesome.
It is.
But so let's start the conversation. Let's start thinking about people costs. Cost of living.
Okay, yeah. So look, the costs in general have been going up everywhere.
Yep.
And look, as we've been going around to clients in the last few months, you sort of see their cost base is going up. Their freight costs are going up. Their supplier costs
Fuel
are going up.
costs are going up. Food costs are going up.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going up.
Everything's going up. And they're having to pass those costs through to their clients.
They do.
And we're looking at all this going, this is interesting, but surely there's a place in the market where this has to sort of find some workable gap.
Yep.
And I've seen from a few businesses, and some quite large, some global, where they've gone into liquidation.
Wow.
And they've been doing that because they've worked out that there's a high price in the market where their product is still viable.
Yep.
But their cost base has been growing up significantly that they can't maintain any margin between their costs and what the market's willing to pay for their products. And they've just had to say, look, we just have to stop. We can't go backwards.
It's really interesting, isn't it? So the costs are driving businesses to make things more expensive, which are driving up costs, which cause people.
It's the inflationary loop, and it's not nice, and it has to be managed very carefully, I think.
So, a question for you, and I'm not an economist at all, but we've been through a rather long period of incredibly low interest rates.
Yes.
And my belief was low interest rates are there to stimulate the economy.
They certainly did that.
Faster. Inflation and higher interest rates are a sign of a really good economy that you're trying to slow down.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. I would suspect that if you went to Zimbabwe and tried to buy a loaf of bread in the morning and then the next day and saw the difference in the prices.
Well, that's hyperinflation, and that's what's happening in Sri Lanka right now. They're struggling with that. So,
yeah.
So we've got.
I would say that this is a global issue.
Yes.
You're not alone if you think that what's happening to my business. There's prices going up everywhere. So we'll have a look at that.
Yes. So there's an example, right? Coles had one of their staff. They lost to a dishwasher roll. Why would that be?
So it was mentioned in the Coles CEO who just mentioned it recently. One of their store managers said, "Look, I'm losing staff. Someone's just taken on a dishwasher roll at $80,000 per annum."
Wow.
And you're looking at, well, how can you compete against that? Now, look, I was in Melbourne a few weeks ago, and we had a dinner on one night. I'm talking to the owners of the restaurant afterwards, just saying, look, it was a lovely dinner, beautiful food, great wine, but I notice it's just like the few of you running around. There's not many staff here.
Yep.
You managed to do really well and keep up and everything, but if this was full, I think you might have a problem.
Yes.
And they said, yes, look, you're absolutely right. They cannot get staff.
Wow.
And they're paying $46 to $50 an hour for table people just to deliver meal, take order, whatever. and they're competing with people, businesses in the city in Melbourne, paying up to $90 an hour.
Yes.
Now, $90 an hour for table assistant.
That's a crazy amount of money.
That's the equivalent of $180,000 a year. So you've sort of got to wonder what's happening here, where's this going?
So I think it's really funny. And in those primary service industries, that kind of wage pressure is happening. But in professional services, those charge-out rates aren't yet reflecting that.
Yeah,
although they're going to have to, right?
They're going to have to. I mean, it's a natural thing, but I will also say you can't keep up or increasing your prices every 3 months or so. You're probably going to have a look at it a bit more realistic a basis. But
Yep.
prices are, yes, going up, and that's the whole thing.
Right. Now, inflation in the first quarter this year
Oh.
was 5.1%, I think, if I remember.
5.1%, yes, off the back of a 3.4. Is that right?
Yeah, 3.4. And I think that's going to be higher next quarter. It's almost guaranteed.
Well, that's scary because they're starting to get into major figures. And you look at people going, I want my 3% CPI increase on my wage to keep up. And all of a sudden, that 3% is now 5.1, 6%, 7%. And
Yep.
businesses can't keep doing that. There becomes a point where your business model can't cope with like a 7 or 8% increase
Well, as long
every
as
year.
unless your prices go up by that much every year as well.
Well, which means it's a sustainable model.
Yes.
But in theory, if you were able to sustain that much in your price increase, you would have done that already.
So I agree, but if everybody's wages goes up and everything goes up, then if you're not putting
Yeah.
your prices up, you're out of business. So
true.
that's kind of where it's going to get
That's true.
to.
It's a bit of a chicken and egg thing, and this is where we're seeing that how do you maintain cost structure in a market that is saying the cost base everywhere is going up for everything? How much more can you do yourself
Yep.
without incurring that cost?
So we've also seen, right, we've got that inflation going, but at the same time, we're still in the middle, I reckon, of a global supply shortage.
Yes.
Right, so we've got the shortage of chips and technology and those
Yeah.
sorts of things. We've got shortages of factories delivering things. We've had this global slowdown. We've had the Evergreen ferry, which was the Ever Given, which was stuck in the canal. There's all sorts of things
right.
which has affected supply. Plus, it's inflationary. There's all sorts of things going on at the moment, and there's a war in the Ukraine.
But there are, and look, even starting from the thing like Shanghai being locked down, the issue being that a lot of the chip production, the little integrated circuits and computer chips, come out of factories in Shanghai.
Yes.
Of course, there's no one in the factories; they're all locked down.
Yeah.
So the chips not being made. So the things that use those chips, like power supplies, wireless access points, routers, switches, PCs, laptops, you can't get the chips. I mean, I've seen some things where Cisco networking gear, up to a year's wait time now.
Wow.
Well, their issue is, though, that they've designed their solutions around a very specific model of single sourcing components and being very efficient at it. And while that process worked, they were extremely efficient.
Yes.
But now that those, like one component or two components are not available, they can't build a power supply.
Yeah.
They can't get a power supply, therefore, to power a switch or a router. Therefore, you can't sell anything.
Yeah. No,
And
for sure.
they're madly spending time now retooling their infrastructure to be a bit more generic as to the components they use.
So I saw a really interesting thing. There's a guy in the UK who started building his own microprocessors, or at least transistor arrays, onto silicon wafers from scratch as an
Okay.
experiment. And he found his concentration. He started by hand, right, using Photoshop and all sorts of things.
Wow.
Well, he was just trying to see if he could do it, but he found his evolution of the number of chips on a silicon wafer is exactly following Moore's law at the moment. But
Yes.
what that tells you is, even with the best will in the world, if I started to want to make high density silicon chips now, say the US said I want to create a chip fab, it's years before that really has the capability to do it at quality.
It is, and in reality, once you get up to about the 5 gigahertz level, that seems to be the cap on what's feasible with the silicon chip approach.
Yep.
That's why we now have
Multi-cores.
multi-cores. We don't have like, here's your 10 gigahertz processor. We have, here's your 5 gigahertz processor with 1 core or 2 cores or 10 cores or whatever it is. And yeah.
Well, you get quantum effects and all sorts of things, but I kind of get that. So that kind of supply shortage, that increase, starts to give some really stupid things happening. So
Yes.
people rapidly changing business models. You've got to have an example of that.
So we saw the concept of the $15 lettuce because there's a shortage of lettuces at the moment.
Yeah, that was it. One of the fast food companies has replaced lettuce for cabbage in their burgers.
Here's my cabbage burger. Doesn't sound as attractive, does it?
No, it doesn't
No,
really,
okay.
no.
So I saw this interesting sort of photo going around of hey, drug dealers have worked out it's actually more profitable to sell lettuce. So they've actually tossed all the drugs out of the where they're growing them,
And they're making lettuce.
and they're growing lettuce instead.
Wow. Which is interesting because that means the drug dealers are only getting $15 a plant, right? So where's the markup in the supply chain? But anyway, I
But
wouldn't
how
know.
long does it take to grow a lettuce?
I don't know. I'm not a lettuce grower.
How long does it take to grow a marijuana plant?
I'm not a marijuana plant grower either.
That's the right answer. Okay, so we don't get arrested. This is good.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I wander into a JB Hi-Fi or a Harvey Norman. There's not the special deals anymore.
If you look closely at the discounted or on sale, it might be on sale for $5 off or something, but there's not enough supply. So why would you put these things on sale?
Yes, I'm seeing 5% off and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you buy something else that's overly priced or something, but the manufacturers themselves cannot keep up with demand. So the retailers, there's no incentive to say I need to do a special deal on these units to be able to move them. They're going to move anyway.
Yeah.
And that's why we're now paying like the $1,600 to $1,700 for a laptop, whereas we were paying the $1,200 to $1,300 before.
Yep.
And it's all in the pricing.
It is fascinating.
It's not all
isn't it?
profit either. The cost structures have gone up. There are a whole bunch of changes in there, but it's the new norm.
Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this inflationary cycle, right?
Okay.
And have a think about it. So, the things I want to buy as a consumer are getting more expensive, from lettuce to electronic devices. right? Across the
everything.
gamut.
Yes.
So my dollar in my wage doesn't go as far as it used to. So therefore, I'm gonna, to maintain my quality of life, I'm gonna require my employer to pay me more.
Correct.
If my employer does pay me more, then they're going to have to increase the prices of their goods into the marketplace, the goods and services into the marketplace.
And this is it. It's on one hand, you've got the employee saying, look, at least keep my salary up with inflation so that I'm not going backwards. And on the other hand, you've got the employer going, look, I'd love to do all that and even give you more, but we just go out of business. There's got to be some balance in the middle. I don't know what the magic answer is, and perhaps this is the age-old question of where is that balance. But we're certainly in a market now, and heading into a market that I don't think a lot of people have seen in a while.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think that it's just a cycle, right? It happens. I remember 17% interest rates under Margaret Thatcher in the UK. So
we had them here 18% under Paul Keating. The
recession
we
had
to have.
So,
yes, thank you, Mr. Keating.
So I don't think it's all his fault. But anyway, we'll leave our politics on the table.
That's very true.
But so if I think about it, if I've got a business that's heavy on labour and heavy on people, those people are going to demand higher wages. My products are going to be more expensive. And yet we've been wittering on for years about how information technology can automate certain things that people do.
And look, it's very interesting because there was a recent survey by one of the industry publications that talked about why would you engage an IT managed service provider.
Yep.
And of all the questions they asked, at 1.5% was competitive advantage.
Wow.
There was a whole bunch of things about access to skills, more efficient ways of doing things, about ability to scale faster than their business can handle and bring on more people. It was all different things in there, rated fairly high. 1.5% said, we think an external company working with us will give us a competitive advantage in our business.
Well, I think that's an indictment on our industry.
I don't think we've done a good job.
I think we've done a really bad job of not just marketing, but delivery of competitive. And the whole point of our industry is to give you a competitive advantage through automation.
That's right.
Everything from a word processor, getting rid of your typing pool, to a spreadsheet, removing a bunch of people with comptometers. All of it's been about the next industrial revolution of removing manual labour where we can and providing automation so that you can do more with less.
So if you think, and this is not about saying, oh, I only need half my staff now, woohoo, this is great. No, it's about using people more productively for the skills that they have and the information that they have to be able to scale on the back of that knowledge.
Yes. So if you can't fulfill demand today, automation is incredibly helpful. I would say if you've got more capacity than you have demand at the moment, automation ain't going to fix your sales problem.
No, look, you've got to have the right fix for the right solution, like, right tool for the right job sort of thing. If you're going to go in there with a hammer and try to install that pipe, probably not going to work very well.
And you just can't automate everything.
No, and nor would you want to, because it's for everything you can think of that says, yep, I'm completely automated, I can switch off and not have to worry about it, something's going to happen.
But there must be a whole bunch of things that are ripe for automation.
There are, even look, basic stuff, order processing. Number of organisations that have now got websites handling a lot of that, doing, here's the workflow, it's all automated, we let the consumer choose, it gets put straight into our CRM or our operational system, it flows through, and if you're looking at what Amazon was doing with their robots for the picking and packing, they've got pickers and packers, people standing there, the robots bring the product on the order to them. You don't have to walk around anymore. You don't have to put them in buckets or whatever. And that's more efficient.
Well, it's also more accurate. And I think when we talk about automation driving efficiency, automation drives accuracy and reduces your risk.
Yes, that is fair.
So my background, which is kind of financial services and IT, by automating processes, let me give you an example. In a lot of small businesses I go and talk to, you speak to business owners and they run their businesses by feel and gut and those sorts of things. What's really going on there, I think, is they're using all their experience for their brain to give them a kind of, this is a good idea, or no, no, it's not. When you start getting the computer to do it and thinking about all the data that goes into making that decision, that's what differentiates an SMB from a Unilever. That Unilever are totally data-driven, SMBs aren't. With automation, you can become really data-driven.
And that can be very powerful.
Yeah, so, but we need to focus on where real value can be added. Let's think of some ideas. Obviously, order processing, anything financial, anything to do with adding up, any way you're taking data from one system and putting it in another system.
Where are you expending manual effort for something that ultimately is just you doing something that could ultimately be done by something else or even a computer?
Yeah, and I think people are really good at interaction with other people, emotional bonding, at being passionate about your product, about all of those things. People are okay at repetitive tasks, but repetitive tasks is where computers work. That's why we have robots building cars. That's why we have machines that make things. That's why we have packaging plants. That's why we have... But the same thing can happen in your back office operations, where I get this invoice every week from this supplier. Well, it's not hard to build technology that will read that invoice, put it into your systems and do it without you ever having to see it again.
No, exactly. It's called EDI, and it was brought into the late...
No one uses EDI, right?
No, even EDI is out of date.
It was a great vision, but yes.
But I do remember when I was at school a number of years ago now, I don't want to think about how many, I was talking to someone, so and he said, my grandfather worked in the... this person's grandfather worked in a toothpaste factory, in a factory, screwing the cap on the toothpaste
Wow,
tubes.
you wouldn't do that anymore?
No, and they'd done it for 30 years.
Yep.
They just literally, as the tube comes through, they put the little cap on and, pressure's good, send it on.
Yep.
I thought, wow, but that's clearly nothing that anyone would do this day manually.
Well, you say that. There's lots of small manufacturers out there who their investment in equipment to automate that is just so much, it's a bridge too far.
But it does say, though, there that there would be some manufacturing systems that are perhaps a heavy barrier to entry.
Yes. Yep. I think in IT, the barrier to entry is lower. So it brings us down to the final thing. Now, what does it cost to automate?
Well, that's just it. And
I love that. It's just such an IT sales answer, right?
That's right.
That's just it. How long is a piece of string?
Where's that bit of string? Well, it can cost anything from a few hours of labour, just working out, here's a very simple thing. Look, this is automated. You never have to do that task again.
Yep.
Right up to years of effort to put massive systems and processes in place. But, of course, the more time you spend on this, I like to think you're investing in the future.
Yep.
And you're going to end up with, assuming it's all done well and comes together, a much more efficient, more cost-effective outcome than if you just kept doing things the way you are now.
Yeah, and I think the answer should be, if you're looking for a cost factor, if I'm going to automate something within a year, right, my investment in that automation should have paid itself back.
Yeah, that's fair. Perhaps there's some scenarios that might be a little bit longer for very complex or whatever.
Might
But
take longer, but I think your return on investment.
Right, yes.
Because if I've got an incredibly complex process, let's automate a bit of it. My return on investment is X. Let's keep doing that now. We've got that return.
That's true.
And keep doing it. The biggest risk, and the thing I see all the time, and I there's no way around this, this will always happen, is I can go into an organisation today, for example, automate a bunch of stuff and save them, say, $1 million. Next financial year, they're going, where's my next $1 million saving?
yes.
That's a curve that eventually stops.
You've got the low-hanging fruit. You've been the hero this year.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to do next year? Oh, well, that gets a bit harder. I fixed all the easy stuff. But you still, there is a point at which you can sort of say, okay, there's a point of no return where you, at this point where you spend money, you're probably not going to see a great return out of it.
Yep.
Unless there was a really big picture of full automation somewhere. But, yeah.
That was cool. I think that's answered most of those things. I think that's very interesting
That's
stuff.
great.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Nick. Would you like to automate something?
I will. I'd like to automate this. If you're watching this and you do like it, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave us a like, and leave us a comment if there's something you'd like us to discuss. I wish I could automate subscribers. That's what I'm thinking about.
Well, people have done that.
Yeah, you get in trouble for that.
They get in trouble for that, yes.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.